You probably have heard this sentence: stress makes you sick. It sounds like a cliche, something people say when they want you to slow down, but you keep going anyway. Because deep inside, you might think, stress is just part of life. Everyone is stressed. I will rest when things calm down. But what if things do not calm down? What if your body is already sending signals that the way you are living is too heavy for too long? Today, we are going to talk about stress not in a vague, dramatic way, but in a very human, very concrete way. We will explore what stress really is, why your body treats some situations as if they were physical danger, how chronic stress can quietly harm your health, and what it means to create a life that does not depend on constant overload to function. Not a life without challenges, but a life where your nervous system is not always on the edge. And if reflections like this help you listen to your body with more respect, take a moment to subscribe to this channel. That simple action supports this work, helps these ideas reach more people, and allows me to keep creating content that honors your humanity, instead of just telling you to toughen up and ignore your own limits. Let us start with something important. Stress is not the enemy by itself. Stress is a natural response of your body and mind to something that feels demanding or threatening. Imagine you are walking in a forest and suddenly a wild animal appears. Your heart starts beating faster. Your muscles get ready to move. Your senses become sharper. This is the stress response. Your body releases chemicals to help you survive. In that context, stress is a gift. The problem is that today, many of the threats your brain reacts to are not wild animals. They are emails, deadlines, bills, conflicts, notifications, expectations. Your body does not always distinguish between a physical danger and a psychological one, so it activates similar responses for both. Heart racing, shallow breathing, muscle tension, racing thoughts. If this stress response turns on, helps you act, and then turns off, your body can recover. The danger is when stress stays on, when your nervous system is constantly on alert, as if life were an endless emergency. This is what we call chronic stress, and this is what slowly makes you sick, not always in dramatic ways at first. Sometimes it begins with subtle signs. You are more tired than usual. You get sick more often. Your sleep is shallow. Your digestion gets worse. You feel irritable or numb. But because stress has become normal, you might ignore these signals. You say, "It is just a phase. It will pass. I just need to push through a little more." Months or years go by, and the body keeps paying the price. Chronic stress can affect your immune system, making it harder for your body to fight infections. It can impact your heart, your blood pressure, your hormones, your digestion, your sleep. It can increase the risk of anxiety, depression, and burnout. This is not to scare you, but to remind you that your body is not just a vehicle for your to-do lists. It is a living system that needs moments of safety, rest, and recovery to function well. When people say stress makes you sick, they are talking about this. Not the short bursts of effort, but the long, uninterrupted periods where you are always tense, rarely resting deeply, and almost never feeling safe enough to really exhale. You might ask, if stress is so harmful, why is it so hard to slow down? There are many reasons. Some are external. work cultures that reward overwork, economic pressure that makes you feel you cannot say no, family responsibilities that are heavy and real. Some reasons are internal, beliefs you picked up throughout life, like, my value comes from being useful. If I stop, everything will collapse. Rest is laziness. If I say no, people will leave. These beliefs make it very hard to listen to your body when it whispers. So the body raises its voice. Headaches, back pain, stomach issues, anxiety attacks. Sometimes, these symptoms are the only language your body has to tell you. This way is not sustainable. Something needs to change. Recognizing this does not mean you can instantly change your life. You may not have the option to quit your job or pause all responsibilities, but you can begin to build a different relationship with your stress. Let us explore 3 movements that help create less toxic stress and more space for your body and mind to breathe. First movement. Notice your stress signals earlier. Many people only admit they were stressed when they crash, when they get sick or explode or cannot stop crying or feel so empty they cannot function. By then, the system has been under pressure for a long time. Your body always gives earlier signals, but you might be used to overriding them. So start by paying attention to small signs. Maybe your jaw's always tight. Maybe your breath stays high in your chest. Maybe you get more impatient with small things. Maybe your sleep becomes lighter. Maybe you feel constant urgency, even when nothing is actually on fire. When you notice these signs, instead of saying, I am fine, pause for a moment. Name it. I am stressed right now. This simple act of recognition begins to bring your awareness back to your body. From there, you can ask, what can I do in the next minutes or hours to lower this just a little? Not, what can I do to fix my entire life? But what small thing is possible today? Second movement. Create micro moments of safety for your nervous system. Many people think stress relief must be a big event, a vacation, a spa day, a whole weekend offline. These things can help, but if you live in constant stress and then take 2 weeks off, only to return to the same pattern, the relief will not last. What your nervous system needs is regular signals that it is allowed to relax, even for short moments. These are micro moments of safety. They do not need to be dramatic. They can be. Breathing slowly for 1 minute with your hand on your chest. Feeling your feet on the floor when you are in a meeting. Looking out the window and letting your eyes rest on something natural, like the sky, a tree, or a distant point. Stretching your shoulders and neck for 30 seconds. Speaking kindly to yourself when you make a mistake instead of attacking yourself. Saying, I need a 5-minute break when you notice you are overloaded. These practices might seem too small to matter, but repeated throughout the day, they send a new message to your body. Not everything is an emergency. You are allowed to come down from the edge. Over time, these micro moments help lower the overall level of tension your system lives in. Third movement. Question the story that your value depends on being constantly stressed. This is a deep one. In many environments, stress has become a status symbol. People brag about how busy they are, how little they sleep, how many things they are juggling, as if being overwhelmed meant they were important. If you grew up in a family or culture where hard work was the main way to earn love and respect, You may have learned that peace is suspicious, that rest is dangerous, that if you feel calm, you must be missing something. This belief makes your nervous system seek stress even when it is not needed. You say yes to more than you can handle. You create tight deadlines. You check your phone repeatedly, feeding yourself with a constant sense of urgency. To change this, you need to slowly rewrite the story of your worth. To recognize that you are not more valuable because you are exhausted. That your relationships do not automatically become deeper because you burn out for others. That your creativity does not flourish when you are always on the edge of collapse. One practical way is to experiment with doing something in a less stressful way and watch what actually happens. Maybe you prepare earlier for a task instead of leaving everything for the last minute. Maybe you set a reasonable limit for your working hours on a specific day and stop when you said you would. You might notice that the world does not end, that your work can even improve when it comes from a less frantic place. These experiences begin to show your nervous system that calm is not the enemy. It is a resource. Of course, there are situations where your choices are limited. You may be in a job with high pressure, or in a season of caring for someone who needs a lot from you. In those cases, compassion for yourself is essential. Instead of adding self-blame on top of stress, you can say, I am in a demanding phase. I cannot remove all stress, but I can still look for small ways to support my body and mind. Maybe you cannot change the number of tasks, but you can change the way you talk to yourself while doing them. Less cruelty, more encouragement. Maybe you cannot shorten your commute, but you can choose to use that time to listen to something soothing instead of more stimulation. Maybe you cannot avoid all conflict, but you can learn to breathe and ground yourself before and after those conversations. Every small choice in favor of your health counts, because the truth is, your body remembers everything. It remembers the nights you cut your sleep, the meals you skipped, the times you ignored your own signals. But it also remembers the moments you took care, the days you rested, the times you said that is enough for today. Stress can make you sick, but awareness and care can help your system find its way back to balance, bit by bit. You do not need to wait for a collapse to begin this shift. You can start now, with one breath, one boundary, one small act of respect for the body that carries you through everything. In the end, a life without any stress does not exist. What you can build is a life where stress is a visitor, not a permanent resident. Where effort and rest coexist. Where your ambition does not come at the cost of your health. Where you measure your success not only by how much you achieve, but also by how alive and present you feel while living it. Your nervous system has limits. Honoring them is not weakness. It is wisdom. And it might be one of the most powerful ways to protect your future self from illnesses that could be softened if you start listening today.